Good afternoon, Alex. I was asked to have to introduce my presentation, and as Alex said things that I can't argue with, and I'll say that I'm ready to introduce my presentation within 5 minutes to make it shorter. Accordingly, I'll seriously be very brief, and, so that we are able to speak interactively. On September 30, happened this kind of a day of independence, and we stopped the final control functions. And the question is very simple. We're waiting for the results, and we see what kind of questions remained unanswered and what we need to do later to see to what extent we have achieved our results. So we need to understand what kind of requirements there were to give away those requirements, and we need to. And the Department of NTIA was responsible for that. First is to support the model of the support of and improvement of models of participation of many interested stakeholders, and pertaining security and stability and DNS internet. And we need to give, they need to unify the countries so that establish on or to international organizations. So what happened after all this? In the diagram you can see here, we see that if in the center we have the old IPN, at the bottom a new legal person is added, which is called with the same abbreviation PTI. Now they open it as public technical identifier, and in 3 interested groups of parties, community of parameters and community of names and community of numbers, there are additional mechanisms which enable us to carry out control functions. And in relation to engineering groups, where there is an MOU, and the community of registrars which are going to work with ICANN based on service level agreement. And in terms of domain names community, there is additional control mechanism, and accordingly this condition was approved and agreed upon and was sent to the American government in March of 2016, and it was realized. Did we achieve the final result? Yes, we achieved, as if we pay attention to how it was formulated in the requirements of NTIA, all the proposals were approved and they were discussed by the government committee of ICANN, and Russia and China also took part in it, and there was agreement, and we achieved consensus. The main mechanisms of security were remaining the same, nothing has changed, and IAM functions will not be under any state or intergovernment international organization, and thus we continue. We expect a global community, and the task that we had 2.5 years ago, it was achieved. So, which questions remained unanswered? I partially spoke about this, but there are things that we need to continue doing. First of all, we didn't get limit with IAN transition. There was a separate discussion working group speaking about transparency of ICANN. This work is ongoing. We need to do everything so that we launch new mechanism. It's PTI, and it's task, everybody's task by the end of the year. Of course, we'll continue discussions, and we'll try to finish the globalization of the project ICANN. And this kind of a useful question, what some people are concerned, Alec also spoke about it, it's about the jurisdiction. And the final thing is, very often this kind of question was asked, what will happen with the main contractor, Verizon? So the decision will be made on this as well. Of course, if there are any other questions that are answered, the important thing is to take into consideration your opinion and how we can go forward together. So, what's next? As an ICANN representative, I can say that very soon we finish a very big project. Now the business will be as usual. We'll concentrate on what we always did, and many of the questions related to security issues, signing service agreements with RIRs. Will in the near future will carry out new GTLD programs, which was a successful one. This is a program connected to universal acceptance and IDN and the rest and other tasks that are established in ICANN document. And if your company takes part a lot in the programs, I want to say that we have a calendar of events and meetings that will take place starting end of this year. We'll have a big meeting in Hyderabad, and we invite you all there. And we'll organize the first in the history of ICANN event, which will call the Eastern Europe DNS Forum. It will take place on December 1st and 2nd in Kiev, Ukraine, and we also invite you all there. This will be a joint event which had the name of Boadom. There we will speak about issues related to DNS industry, DNS infrastructure, and we'll gladly see you there and we discuss it together. Colleagues, do you have any questions on NTA transition? What expectations you had from this process? If there are no questions, probably I start from the first question to Axel. Axel, to what extent was it important for IPNCC to take part in this kind of a process? Why couldn't you get limited with the coordination on the level of NRO without entering ICANN, ASO, and so on and so forth?
So we have been part of the ICANN community since I started work plus 1 week, 1999. We signed the ASO MOU at the time. It worked quite well for us. So there is no reason that we should run away now. And we have always said that while the effect of NTIA oversight was minimal or nil on the numbers part of the whole community, we still wanted to see NTIA have the contract expire. We said so in 2013 as the sort of CEOs and leaders of the technical community. We said with the Montevideo statement at the time, we would like to see NTIA let go. And maybe that was part of the decision half a year later that they actually announced it. So we want to play, we played, and our community did a good job, all of the communities did a good job in getting the plan together. So yes, we've done that under the NRO umbrella, but ICANN is a service provider for us. We have the service level agreement, the contract now. It's fine. It works well for us. Thank you.
Вопрос Дмитрию Кахманюку, только я его не вижу. Дмитрий? Но на самом деле на вопрос...
In response to, if there is a question, if there are questions, all the other representatives that we mentioned before can also answer the question. A short background of this history. All this history that me and Mikhail we told you, there is a separate section about the role of resident corporation when the matter is about performing the role of the technical manager or zone of DNS is the historically inherited function of corporation, and ICANN has technically delegated to design. And now, in parallel to the main transition on the track, there's some changes, and that we plan to replace the role of U.S. government, which had a separate contract with Zion. They want to replace it by the new scheme of interaction when they interact with Zion within the framework of new agreement of the services plan. So the question is, in the new draft new agreement, there is a passage that executor of the function of the zone, in case of necessity, has the right to fully stop provision of the services or do that partially, and he does not have to inform about suspension of this kind of services to Internet Corporation. So the question is the following. Like in old charter as well as in the new charter of Internet, so the mission of is to provide the sustainable use of global internet structure. Isn't there a contradiction of this mission, according to ICANN, of signing an agreement with a technical manager on this kind of terms? To what extent is it consistent with the spirit of interactions? Я не юрист, я не могу сказать, однако.
To answer your question, well, okay, well, to answer your question, the root zone management agreement, the new agreement, the very signed ICANN agreement, is not yet final. So I think that's going to be probably clarified. So I wouldn't be worried about that much. I mean, ultimately, they cannot stop serving the root zone because it would be just then a liability case for them, right? If we talking about, let's say, taking some parts of it away, like let's kill this TLD or this TLD, let's change that and change that again. If they do this willy-nilly without any good reason, that again would undermine their credibility. So I don't see that problem. I bet these issues are put by lawyers just to maybe cover some corner situations like some force majeure cases, which I have to read the contract again, and it's quite a long thing. So I can't really speak about that contract in detail. But as I said, it's not yet final, so we'll see how things play out.
Я очень благодарен Дмитрию именно за такой ответ, который дал бы лучший юрист. Потому что, чтобы отвечать на подобного рода провокационные вопросы, нужно, по крайней мере, вывести на экран конкретный текст, вывести на экран, как он...
Big text that you have to put on the screen how it's been discussed, who has approved it. So Dmitry gave the answer. Creates some critique. So whatever is called the critique, and I would like to
Community получить, больше, может быть, оверсайта вот над этим контрактом, потому что в Transition говорили очень много об оверсайт над ICANN, это все уже есть, но это еще делается, но это уже есть продукт.
And this is already a roadmap about how be done. So we don't have to think that the special enemies are sitting there and that they think how to harm Russia. So this conspiracy theory that they came up with a special red button. It is not like that. It is not there. Simply, I think we have to think about this. We have to think about this in this context. The situation in the counter situation that all three organizations will be under the jurisdiction. It will also be changed. PCI, ICANN, and we resign. Sanctions. If there are sanctions against a third country, it means that three American organizations will have to meet the sanctions applied by US. Suppose, if it happens, suppose you can propose there are countries which have got they have got a nuclear weapon that they can use. Does it mean that we have to bomb Northern Korea because they have potential, but we have to bear this in mind. The point is that with the help of the instance, it's very difficult to cause that there is more efficient means. We don't have to overestimate the damage that we can cause by the change of DNS. This is not the pertinent level at all. I would like to remember a case when it was in Doha, when they were discussing in ITU at the conference whether they adopted it or not. They were speaking about, it was not in Doha, it was in Dubai, sorry, when they were discussing international union will manage internet on that. Out of all this story, the unexpected point was that they adopted DBI. They came up with a document of DBI. They started to discuss the DBI. It reminds about the NA transition. This kind of conspiracy things which in the end are reflected in I don't know what, because today there are points like, so DBA is not like that. It's not like, and it does not solve the issues that we had to solve. Who decided what the DBA will have to decide? Who decided that this is the practical application of internet control and means of internet control, which grown somewhere in the internet is free. Internet is boundless. What else do we want? If someone wants everything, he will never get it. Never. Even if you leave a handle in a form of legislation that puts some circumstances on the work of a company, but you will compromise. You will immediately compromise. You as a government, this legal unit under the, you will compromise yourself. I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful on behalf of Ukraine for the support that is good. I would like to say that bad things happen from the places where you do expect. Everyone was thinking that the U.S. does not enter internet business starting from 2010. So everything was included in domain. So the second that is American property. So this kind of point should also be taken into account. Was it a question or commentary? At the commentary, I remember one case. There was a story with IANA. They wanted to destroy the list, but representing the benefit of the trade list, and they put a lot of efforts that the domain is a property. You cannot take from one country and to give it to sell it to someone else. So that there was a huge. This is a very good example when there was attempt to introduce some changes on the national level. I think that we have to listen. I would like to present some comments. So can I stay here because I prefer talking here in the hall, but how the legends, how the history is rewritten, because to understand also internet governance as a technical community was speaking from the position that we wanted to know, because the commenters about the previous contract, who was against it, that there were only some single people. The governments were not commenting and they were criticizing from the side. But what happened? Good initiative like this. Snowden turned up. They lost on the political level. Consider that they lost the trust towards in this situation. Oleg Lustand, I remember that this is meeting. By default, he decided that this is a key aspect that the mental video it is the meeting started, the organization, that is dealing with the technical coordination of the union, which served as a basis in this situation. So the public administration bodies of US had to react. So we used the momentum in this situation. we use this moment and we put it. We committed ourselves maximum not to touch the existing relationship. The relationship, this process, and we're in the process of completing this because technically, yes, it works. The agreement's not signed, but as always, there is no need to idealize. So some agreements. So well listen. There will be critics. There were so many dirty points, and there is a risk. There is risk of court cases. So what I would like to mention, well, there are problems with. This is the political position of the countries. The problem is somewhere else. I see a real risk that we cannot predict the change of the principal situation, because de facto we were explicitly or non-explicitly we were under the protectionship of the protection from the government. We were protected from all various types of legal cases. So when we lost this umbrella, I don't know what will be the situation, and once we lose, it is quite clear that there are significant questions, because the significant question that was it would block the decision making by the US government. It was the question about immunity, certain immunity of coordinating body, of the technical coordination. Maybe I blow on something hot or something cold, I don't know, but this is the question. This is the question which, from my standpoint, is still unsettled. Using this opportunity that I have the microphone, Dmitry, thank you very much. I forgot something to mention, something with the catalyst of this process. There was the information published by StoneNet. So we just managed to do that on time. That the paradox was that there's nothing that's not live. It was not connected, I see, but it was an image blow on US, and the process went on. In fact, I had a question about youth, and also the question to this. I don't know who will like to answer how. And in fact, this is the question. What do you think about? So there are some holes or some reservations in regard that there was exchange of letters between ICANN, and ICANN committed itself to have a redelegation of top level of .us.gov only after having received the written approval of NDI. The second part of my question, maybe this is provocative, but this provoking is about clearly. It is considered that this games the relationship, the direct relationship between MTRA and ICANN can be eliminated, but it is not quite clear. We cannot check the reliability of this assertion. There is a firm affirmation of Comintern of 2009, and the verdict that no one has changed. It existed in parallel with the contract. What shall we do? Or we shall do nothing. Everything is okay. I would like to answer Michel. But the purpose was to achieve compromise. So all the lists are open. In order to open the field in reasonable place, these are do not touch these topics. These are very powerful. So we understand the question that was on the political level about Milgavan, etc. But it was on their fault. But why did they decide not to touch design? We received economic dividends about expansion of .com, and this is a question of antitrust legislation and how are those going to be checked. But there was a principal question, which is we do not touch the system because that the only technical choice in the workflow system where they exclude more specific girl sitting in Washington. They excluded the screening procedure. Thank you, Mikhail. Very briefly, I know nothing because someone refuses the commitments. If there is this kind of refusals, Mikhail, I have another question. Would the competition elections, maybe Yerevan will be changed? You mean technical administrator? I think if the community, if there is aspiration, indeed everything will be done on the competitive. I have another question. At least there is a document which says how to create new RIR. So we have currently that there is a procedure of changing them, or in this can we expect any kind of change time? Because currently some operators of service like American military organization Resto.mil, they are not that transparent. If you go from Euro using normal site from Armenia, you can see they do not show anything. So one of them. So do you have anything? I can say that if there is on behalf of Armenian Russian leadership's more specific recommendation, then we have to consider it. What I've seen, they have got 13 site servers and operators have been identified a long time ago, and everything should be organized and agreed upon on this level. We have some myriads. Let's do myriads. Maybe we should have some package, not we will have 52 or not. So this is, and he cannot. So we need collective work, and we need collective agreement about how to correct this. I would like to say we speak only about website of operator. In other words, there is website of operator. Yes, it works. The problem is that so DNS servers in fact we need some root zone, a public service agreement. What is root server operator? But the problem is so there should be also the IPN is not a technical organization. It is a way of exerting pressure on certain decision making. So operation part. It's these are discussions about so how many root servers there will be. RTF has identified not certain because it's not because there are no more bytes. This is serious problem, but this is a problem of technical to do. So when there is, if we decide who shall we give to road operator or not, it will be something completely different. In fact, the recommendation about such an agreement that wouldn't be that. In fact, I do not agree that this is a side of politics. This is not a policy about the surveys. Colleagues, other questions? Comments? No?